Good morning, Keller Williams. As Marty Miller would say, for those of you who watch 66 Day Challenge, this is the last day of Ignite. And today we have the very special pleasure of having the amazing Carol Foderick teach us today and wrap up Ignite. I want to say a special congratulations to Kamal for completing the Ignite sessions, all 9 sessions. That is amazing feat. I believe you're one of those rock stars that's going to crush his business when you finally go at it. So congratulations. And with that, I don't need to introduce this lady. It's an inspiration. This person has always been with me personally and the office and KW, an amazing giver. What can I say? A hard worker, person with heart. So Carol Foderick, take it away, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying to do that correctly. Is that right, Carlos? Trying to do the heart. Yeah. And will a heart show up sometimes, like on Zoom, it'll get like
the heart, or you kind of do the Asian Korean thing where you do this heart.
Well,
okay.
I'll have to explain that to me another time. Okay. Thank you, Carlos. And I appreciate the kind introduction. Carlos is one of those people at the brokerage that I'm just so grateful for, as well as our amazing virtual assistants that are joining us on this call today. So we have, and Sean Graham as well just hopped on. I love it. So we've got a handful of people here that have joined us for a variety of different reasons. Some of you are wrapping up your last session of Ignite. Maybe like Kamal, you did all of them. Maybe you dropped in for a few of them. Maybe you were just curious about what I had to share about real estate today. And you got this email this morning and said, Carol Foderick is going to share some knowledge, and I'm interested in hearing what she has to share. So thank you for whatever reason it is that you attended today. I got asked to stand in for this last Ignite session by Mike Clark, who, if you ever have the chance to catch another one of his trainings, I'd certainly encourage you to do it. Mike is a legend in our industry and somebody that I share a tremendous amount of professional respect for with all of you on this call. And so Mike asked me to step in to do this last session, and I had a look at the slide deck. And I thought, how can I bring a little bit extra value to this group of people, regardless of where you're at in your real estate career? So some of you will be brand new to real estate. Some of you will be a veteran of real estate, but hoping to reignite your career from where you're at now. Others of you are already actively trading in real estate, and actually a handful of you are already on my team. So I wanted to take this opportunity today and this time that we are experiencing in the market to really just share with you some of the things that I wish somebody had shared with me when I started in real estate 22 years ago. Some of this is, I think, very sensitive to the market that we're in right now. Some of it is going to be just great lessons for being able to build foundational building blocks for your career moving forward. But regardless, and some of all of my 25 points I'm going to make today, some will land differently for different people on this call. So really what I wanted to do was just find a way to show up in service to all of you today, and hopefully you'll take something away. I'm also going to do a question and answer at the end as well, and I'd love to hear your feedback about things for people that have been in real estate a little bit longer, things that you wish you had been told. So I'll give you guys a little bit of context in case you don't know who I am or what I'm all about. So I've been with Keller Williams for 6 years here at Keller Williams Advantage. I am the leader of the Carol Foderick Real Estate Group. It's a team of 32. We are one of the top teams in Canada. We have 17 full-time real estate agents, including a handful of them that are on this call with us today. And the rest are full-time administrative and logistical staff. Last year, we did 354 transactions for a GCI of just under $4 million. I don't say that to impress you guys. I just want you to know that I'm sharing my experience from a place of knowledge and understanding, not just of the market that we're in now, but in the many different markets that the Greater Toronto Area has faced over the last 2 decades, really. So please, this is interactive. I'd love to hear feedback. Give me like an amen, a hallelujah. If you want to question something I'm saying, please put up your hand, unmute yourself. This is interactive. This is fun. And this is all the things that I wish somebody had sat down and told me when I started in real estate. So everybody on this call has been through the Ontario Real Estate Association, phase 1, 2, and 3. You're a licensed sales professional. But would it be a fairly true statement, if I could ask by a show of hands, that not everything that you learned in real estate college you have found particularly useful to your career yet. Would that be a statement? Most people would agree with that. Would it also be a true statement that the AREA, although they give you a great foundational knowledge of how the actual logistics and legalities of trading in real estate, they don't necessarily teach you how to be a business owner? I think that that's also a true statement. And I would say, finally, they certainly don't teach you how to manage being a successful business owner together with a person who has balance, happiness, and structure in their life. And I think that that's a statement among many, many people that have been in real estate for either a short time or a long time. So thank you for the interactive, guys. So I've put together a list. Now, to be clear, they are in no particular order. I'm going to share the list at the end. You can take away the meat and throw away the bones, as they say. Some are really going to land, some are not going to land, but I really do want to get started. So the reality of what is next for you guys. So by a show of hands, who is an agent that is just brand new to real estate, so trading maybe 6 months or less in this marketplace? By hands, a handful. Kamal, you're brand new. Manuela's new-ish, like a year. Who's been in real estate anywhere between 6 months and we'll say 3 years? Great. And anybody, do I have any veterans? So by veterans, I'm going to say like 5 years or more. Not too many veterans today. Okay, well, this is interesting. So the lens that I'm going to speak to you today really is through the lens of a new-ish agent, but I think a lot of these principles are going to be true whether you've been practicing real estate for a long time or a short time. So let's start with something I think that nobody told you right off the bat when you started in this on phase 1 of your real estate course. So point number 1, the reality of what is next for you. It is going to be a lot harder than you ever imagined it was going to be, and it is going to take a lot longer than you thought it would. And this is something that I see as the biggest misconception of brand new agents when they hit our marketplace. There is this perception, I think, perpetuated by social media, but also by some of the productions that are on television, Million Dollar Listing Los Angeles, HGTV shows that give people the impression that you're going to show up in real estate and all of a sudden there's just going to be a flood of people that are going to want to work with you. Everybody that you know is going to be picking up the phone and calling you to service their real estate needs, and it's actually going to be really easy. The reality is, guys, and this is a sobering statistic for many of you who may not have heard it, 75% of new agents don't make it through the first year. Now, that is an alarming statistic because for the new people on this call, you have invested thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of your time and energy into getting a real estate license. You find yourself landing in our industry at a time where the industry is in such turmoil and in such a challenging place that it is kicking the legs out from even experienced veteran agents like myself. And I really want to set context because what a lot of you have gone through in the last year, for the people that have been, actively trading or attempting to actively trade, understand that you are facing the most challenging market conditions in a quarter of a century. I don't say that to scare you. I just want you to know if it feels like it's hard, it's because it is really hard right now. It is hard even for established, experienced agents with strong businesses that are already had legs under it. It's hard even for us. So know that if you're in a place right now where you're feeling like it's really hard, that's true. And it's true for not just you, it's true for everybody. When I say that 75% of the people aren't going to make it, I don't say that to, throw you off your game or to throw, cold water on you guys. There is good news in that. Which side of that 75-25 divide that you fall on is entirely dependent on the actions or frankly inaction that you choose to take over the next 12 months. So whether or not you survive is going to be dependent on what steps you choose to follow, the skills you choose to build, the effort that you put into this. You are completely in charge of whether or not you make it or not, which can be either the most terrifying or liberating statement you're going to hear today. But I just want you to know, it is hard. It's harder than usual right now. And many people will choose to leave this industry, even not new agents, established agents. But there is an opportunity in this industry. I'm going to come back to that. So when I teach various training programs, who's been on one of my training program, Marshmallow Chickens to Commission Checks or Working by Referral, we talk a lot about, thank you, Layla. We talk a lot about pillars of where our business comes from. So as new agents, experienced agents that are restarting their business, it is very important that you understand that the leads from our industry do not just come to us. We need to take proactive steps to be able to build a business and have trackable results that we can then use to make projections. Now, here is where I think AREA really kind of falls short for our new sales agents. There is no discussion at any point during the AREA sales training about lead generation models or where your business is going to come from. If we're all being honest and open, who believed that once they got their real estate license, either A, people were just going to organically come to them, or secondly, that somehow you're going to show up at a brokerage and then the brokerage would have some sort of leads for you, like business would come to you. You'd be a licensed professional. And then I love it, Amelia. So these are all true statements because nobody told us otherwise. And there is generally not a great awareness about where real estate business comes from. So this is really important, guys. For each of you on this call, you need to know where your pillar of lead generation is going to be built around, and you need to start perfecting and practicing that. I am so excited that all of you guys learned information on Mets and bounds and riparian rights and where the signature goes and how to use DocuSign. These are all, this is all valuable information, but if there is no client to service, if there is no business, it doesn't really matter how skilled you are, you'll never have a chance to use those skills. So you need to establish what your pillar of lead generation is. So where is your business coming from? Now, I'd love to hear, you can unmute yourself, just shout it out, who already knows where their business is coming from and feels comfortable to express to me where, how it is that they're actively pursuing it. Gabriella's got her hands up. I love it. Go ahead, Gabriella.
Anyone and everyone you know, reach out to your hairdresser, reach out to your landscaper, reach out to your family is your number one supporter. Sometimes you don't want to work with your family. And so you just reach out to everyone that you possibly can think of. Your, like I said, your esthetician, your gas person, anyone that you talk to and say, hey, you need anything help with real estate related, give me a shout, because you're going to need you're going to have to be able to talk to someone at least 18 times before they even remember who you are.
I love this because Gabriella is describing a model of lead generation, which is working by referral, which is actually it's the model of lead generation that I follow to be able to generate business for myself and all the team members on my team. Gabriella is one of them. We work by referral. So what that means, I always say working by referral. It's not waiting by referral. That doesn't mean that people just come to us and they heard that I'm in real estate. It is a proactive approach towards nurturing a sphere of influence in a very systematic way that allows you to be able to generate referrals and repeat customers out of that sphere of influence. That's just one. I'd love to hear somebody else that's using another lead generation model. But thank you, Gabriella. Working by referral. That's great. That's one. Anybody else feel brave enough to tell me where their business is from? While you're thinking about it, feel free. I don't bite, I promise, guys. But I'll give you a couple of other examples. Door knocking would be another one. Oh, Layla's going to share with us. Layla, what are you doing these days?
Hi, everyone. So I did a lot of door knocking. I did cold calling. I kind of try just everything because I'm still trying to understand, figure out, articulate what is going to be my prospecting, way of prospecting. Right now, I'm trying to, I also did open houses. My thing is right now, I'm trying to focus on a geographical area and kind of do a combination of some of the things. For example, door knocking the area more often, like as opposed to going just everywhere, go the same area over and over in 2 months or 3 months, call the same people in the same area, and hopefully when when I have business, I will do open houses in the area. Like I'm trying to focus in one area and just combine everything.
Okay, Layla, I love it. This is where we get meaty on this presentation. You just mentioned about 9 different lead generation pillars. And although you preface it by saying you were sampling, you need to focus on one primary one, and then maybe a small secondary one as well too. You talked about geographic farming, you talked about circle prospecting, you talked about cold calling. I think you mentioned sphere of influence, you talked about door knocking. Understand that these are all different lead generation models, and you need to choose one and run with it. I'll give you an example. You want to be a door knocker, and some people do really, really well with knocking doors. They feel comfortable in that space. We have some amazing teams here at Keller Williams that have built huge businesses around door knocking. A door knocker gets up in the morning, knows exactly how many doors they are going to knock, knows exactly where the doors are that they're going to knock, knows what their conversion rate is. So how many people are going to answer. Of the people that answer, how many of them are going to give me their contact information? From the people that give me their contact information, how many times am I going to have to follow up with them in order to be able to generate business out of that? And then they go out and do it again the next day and again the next day, thousands and thousands of doors a year. But it's a system. They practice it, they track it, they perfect it. So what the approach that you're describing, and I get it because you're still sampling, Layla, but what you've just described is why most agents fall into that 75% bucket. They do everything. Throw in some social media. I'm going to post some, I'm going to make some videos for YouTube. I'm going to take pictures of myself, but at listings. It ends up you end up being a jack of all trades and a master of nothing. And unfortunately, you never have enough traction in any one of those pillars of lead generation to actually be successful. So this is and it's why I lead off with this, guys. Understand that in order to be successful, you need a model, you need activities around that model, you need to track, and then you need to interpret what your tracking is telling you so that you can make projections about not only things like income, but also how much time, energy, and effort are going in. Because when you can track things, you can refine things. So if you've been door knocking enough, you'll know that your best response rate is between 11 and 1 o'clock, and you do well better east of Yonge Street than you do west of Yonge Street. You know that you need to follow up with somebody at least 13 times before you actually get business out of them. So understand that you need a model. The chaos that is dabbling in everything is what leads most agents to fail. So thank you so much for that, Layla. So if you had to identify one that you were going to pick, do you have any early indication of which one you're sort of leaning toward? Which one feels most organic to you?
So first of all, thank you very much for saying all of that. It honestly speaks to me because exactly as you said, you need to know your numbers, which will appear, and it's very important. I'm trying to focus on geographical area, and the reason I still am not 100% on like numbers and everything, it is really settled down, is hopefully it's going to happen soon. I want a geographical area because I want the momentum that it will bring in the future.
Yeah, so geographic farming, something that's very popular. All of us live in neighborhoods. You've probably received mailers in your home. Maybe you're getting digital marketing sent to you based on your geographic proximity. Maybe you're getting door knockers based on that. Geographic farming, absolutely a way to build a sustainable business. You just need to know what's working and what's not working within that. And then you need to really double down on those efforts so that you know what's how it's tracking. It is also one of the more expensive lead generation models if you're intending to establish market share through print mailings. An average print mailing will cost you $3 to $4 by the time it's printed, distributed, gone door to door, and the pickup rate is incredibly low. So know that for every 5,000, like you may generate like one lead out of 5,000 print pieces. And typically speaking, your print pieces don't actually start landing until people have seen you 12 to 15 times. So at $5,000, dollars per print mailing times 10 to, 12 to 15 times, understand that it can be expensive if you're going to do that. It is, but all of us who are homeowners or live in a home where you're getting stuff know that geographic mailing can work. Geographic farming can work if you're successful in doing it. The question is going to be, are you like what's working for you within that geographic farm area? So thank you, Liz. So geographic farming. Okay, great. And you'll probably choose a geographic farm area based on, demographics, proximity to your home, market knowledge, all of these things. I would suggest to you, Leila, that you be mindful of the fact, well, we can take it offline afterwards, but your geographic farming will have to be very targeted, and you're going to have to really understand the market dynamics of who else are players in that geographic area. I have a geographic farm area, which is my secondary pillar of lead generation source. It is not the area I live in. The area I live in is dominated by another real estate veteran, and it would not be smart for me to go head to head with somebody that has a greater amount of market share. My dollars are better spent going into an area where I know I land better with the demographic. But this is the kind of research you need to be able to share about your chosen lead generation model. So again, and I spent a little bit more time on this point because it is the biggest determining factor of whether or not you will be successful. Whatever it is, guys, geographic farming, online lead purchasing. We can have a whole seminar about that nightmare, but door knocking, cold calling, sphere of influence, or working by your database, open houses, whatever it is, know it backwards and forwards, know that you need to track everything, and know that you need to make projections. I'll come back if anyone has questions about lead generation at the end as well. So the third point I wanted to make, you'll have to do things that push you outside of your comfort zone, and you're going to have to do things as well that you think are beneath you. So if you say, I want to work by referral, I want a referral-based business, that sounds really comfortable to me. I love the idea of business coming to me. Guess what? There is still proactive activity that goes into that, and it is really uncomfortable to call somebody that you sort of only kind of know and talk to them about real estate. It is going to be really uncomfortable to door knock somebody's house and find out if they have questions about real estate. In order to be successful, you are going to have to be aggressive. Now, I say aggressive with your approach to building a business, not aggressive like getting angry with people about, their need to buy or sell real estate, but you do need to be aggressive. Guys, we have the highest oversaturation of real estate agents anywhere in the world. Does anybody know what the stat is? How many people in the GTA have a real estate license?
It's like 75,000 or so, right?
1 in 76 people have a real estate license in the GTA, which means people that know multiple real estate agents, and nobody is going to work with you until you've established 3 things. Can I trust you? Are you good at what you do? And do you care about me? And you need to be able to build mind share with those people. But to be clear, guys, in order to do it, you're going to have to be uncomfortable. We are talking about tens of thousands of dollars in commission, especially at a time when the number of transactions are down catastrophically from years past. You're going to have to be more aggressive with your lead generation. You're going to have to be better on your follow-up. And you're going to have to do things that you're just not comfortable doing. Kamal jumped in. You're a pilot, Kamal. There was probably a time when somebody put you behind the controls of an airplane and you're like, I'm not really sure about this, but let's give it a try. You're going to face that circumstance over and over and over again. It never goes away, guys. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable would be my comment to you. Sometimes, guys, you're going to be working for free. And sometimes you're going to make a lot of money for very little effort. And in the end, all I would suggest is give good service at every step of the way. Don't count your commission checks before they're cashed. And in the end, it will all even out. And so what I mean by that is there's going to be times when you've got a buyer and you run around showing them houses for 6 months, and then they decide what is right for their family is just to stay in rental for a while longer. And you're going to feel really tempted to get upset or bothered by the fact that you just poured a huge amount of energy and resources into a relationship and you got paid nothing on it, or you worked for 3 months to get a client rental and got compensated a grand total of $400 for your efforts. And when you break it down on a per hour basis, it was like worse than working at McDonald's. It gets really easy to start trying to see dollar signs above your clients' heads. Don't do it, guys. Provide the best possible customer service experience that you can, and it will even out in the end. Because sometimes you'll be sitting in an open house on a Saturday afternoon and somebody will pop in who wasn't in the market for a house but absolutely loves whatever it is you're selling, has the confidence in your ability that they feel comfortable letting you represent them, and end up buying that house from you, and you make $26,000 with 10 hours of work. In the end, guys, it will level itself out. Don't approach your client relationships on a merit based on income approach. I promise you, your clients feel it. It's called commission breath. they can sense it too. So just be mindful of that, guys. Sometimes you're going to work really, really hard and it's not going to seem like there is any immediate benefit. Sometimes your buyer client that, chooses not to buy after 6 months will end up referring 6 of their friends because you did the right thing and you did a great job of representing them, even though they didn't end up buying anything. And you'll make much more than you ever thought you did. Don't look at everything transactionally of what's in it for me. Really show up with a heart of service of, how can I make this a good experience for them? This is an important one. The next point I'm going to make, don't compare your chapter 1 with somebody else's chapter 50. This is especially true for anybody who follows people on social media. So you're following other agents and it's like, man, that's the 10th house that they've sold this month. That's incredible. Why am I not reaching this level of success? The reality is, guys, is that you are sometimes looking at a business that has taken years and years to establish. You are looking at somebody who has put in, they say that the pathway to mastery takes of any subject, whether you're learning to play the violin or becoming a real estate professional, 10,000 hours of practice to become a professional or something. You can't say in your first year of real estate, I'm not successful. I only sold, I only did 6 transactions. Does anybody want to guess the number of transactions that the average real estate agent will do in their first year? 0. That's a scary number, guys, but that's the reality. That wasn't in the AREA brochure when they were selling you your thousands of dollars worth of courses. The average real estate agent the new agent will do 0 transactions. If they're smart, they spend the first 6 months building a business, which then lets them go from 0 to 60 really, really quick. But no, the average brand new agent will do 0. And that is a reality of the fact that there is no day 1 of real estate. You show up and somebody teaches you how to sell. The number of agents that do less than 6 transactions a year. Does anybody want to hazard a guess at that? Less than 6 transactions. About 70% of those 146,000 registrants, 70% of them are not going to do 6 or more transactions a year, guys. So when you see somebody who has built a business and they are killing it and they're a top producer and they're doing 30 or 40 or 50 deals a year, understand that it's probably taken them a long time to get there, and don't compare yourself to them because comparison is a thief of joy. And I see a lot of agents who are like, oh, I'm 6 months and I haven't done a transaction. Guys, it is tough out there right now. And even under the best market, it has always been tough. So just understand it is going to take time to create something, but anything worth of value does take time to build. You're going to wear many hats, guys. This is my next point. You're going to wear many hats. So also not in the AREA handbook was the fact that you, in addition to being a real estate professional, you are going to witness marital meltdowns. You are going to be privy to private conversations about deeply personal things in people's lives. You are going to have people share with you biases and ignorances that you don't agree with. Nobody tells you that you are going to be pulling back the curtain to their lives. Sometimes you're going to be standing in their home or in a home that they're looking to buy, and they're going to tell you confidentially that they need a home with 4 bedrooms because them and their partner no longer sleep in the same room and they're staying together just for the sake of the kids. These are the emotional bombshells that get dropped on you every single day, guys. Treat all of your clients with compassion and kindness and no judgment. Understand that you have to meet them where they're at, and we are not here to fit them into any sort of box, guys. You are going to be privy to a lot of information that sometimes even their own family doesn't know about. I've been called into listing presentations where the one of the partners has a terminal illness and they haven't told their kids yet that they need to sell the home before they get it has to go through probate. Situations where partners are splitting up and they haven't told their kids yet. You need to use care and kindness and a huge amount of compassion and discretion. It goes without saying that if you have a client that's been referred to you by somebody who you know, so there's a commonality there between them and somebody else, you are legally and professionally bound to your client to have complete confidentiality. And that's very, very important, guys. So, but again, you're going to have to wear many hats. People are going to ask you tax advice. People are going to ask you engineering advice. People are going to ask you about the schools. And it's a careful line of walking. You're going to walk a careful line of being a trusted advisor, but also not overstepping your professional responsibility and and being able to serve them. So be mindful of that. But care and compassion, guys, you're going to get some big, heavy emotional bombshells dropped on you. Next point, guys, your reputation among other agents matters. So here's a big thing, guys. You may work with one client once in their lifetime, twice, 3 times if you're really lucky and they move often. You may have to work, especially if you're farming a geographic area and you work a lot in one particular area, you're going to have to work with your professional counterparts more than once. And if you are rude or you are not professional, or you do not come to your offer presentation or your negotiations with them in any sort of a with a professional mind through a professional lens in any way, they are going to remember, and it is going to cloud their judgment about what kind of agent you are, and by extension, whether or not your offer is one that should be worked with or not. Your reputation precedes you, guys. And so it's very, very important. You may have to work with professionals over and over and over again. There are people in this industry that if they called me and told me it was raining outside, I would go and check for myself, guys, because they're not honest, they're not truthful, and it is a reality of the industry that we work in. There are also agents that when they bring me an offer on one of our listings, I will go to my clients and be like, she's a great agent. I've worked with her many times in the past. She's true to her word. I know she's done her due diligence. We're going to have a smooth transaction here. Your reputation will precede you, guys. Treat it very, very carefully, not just with your clients, but among other professionals as well. The next point really speaks to the idea that people, the way that we present ourselves is not necessarily the way that other people want to be sold to. So I really want to reinforce this, guys, without going too far down the rabbit hole. Understand that if you are somebody who is very pragmatic, numbers-driven, fact-driven, very, very sensitive towards information, if that is you and you come across a buyer who approaches their real estate transaction with a much more aesthetic feel, you are probably going to have a mismatch in terms of the personalities there. And you have to be cognizant of it. You have to work around it. I'll give you an example. I'm a numbers-based person. I go to see a listing. I want to know the price. I want to know what it sold for last time. I want to know neighborhood appreciation rates, how many bedrooms, what the lot frontage is, what the school district is. Very numbers-based, right? I don't care about things like natural light or whether or not it has good vibes only. Some of you are laughing because some of you are like, yeah, who cares about that stuff? The aesthetics, think about home purchasing or home selling their home in terms of emotions or feelings. So a buyer may not care about any of the things I just described. They will walk into a home and say, you know what, it just doesn't feel right for me. Now, as a pragmatic person, I'm going to look at that and say, wow, they're just not that motivated, clearly. Like, what does that even mean? That's not even a real thing. Clearly, they're just a tire kicker or something. On the flip side, my buyer is going to sense my frustration and say, she just doesn't really get me. She's not listening to me. This isn't my house. This doesn't feel right to me. So understand that there's pragmatic and there is aesthetic. And if you are aesthetic, you need to understand how to be able to populate your client conversations with the facts, the figures that are going to allow them to move forward, and understand that if you are pragmatic, you're going to have to take a step back and ask somebody, how does this space feel to you? Can you imagine your family living here? The soft things that don't necessarily come natural to us. So don't assume that the way that you like to be sold is the way that your clients like to be sold. Understand how to recognize the differences and how to be able to speak their language and meet them where they're at. And remember that sometimes in a client relationship, they're going to be completely at odds. Like the husband will be one way and the wife will be another way. So just understand that, guys. You've got to be emotionally sensitive towards that. We do a huge amount of training on my team about this because it means better conversion. It means you are more likely to be well received by those clients, and you are also more likely to have a positive outcome from transactions. Going offside a little bit, so now we're going from selling. I want to talk about the importance of prioritizing your mental health in this space. So guys, this is a 24-hour-a-day rock 'em, sock 'em, knock 'em out business. Deals happen at 11:30 at night. Deals are going to happen on your birthday. Deals are going to happen on your vacation. You need to make an effort to prioritize your mental health and your personal relationships. True fact, real estate is among the highest, has among the highest divorce rate of any profession anywhere in the world. next to mechanical engineers. I don't get that, but second of it is real estate. And if you've been in real estate for any period of time, you know that it is because we can have, if we do not run our schedules run us. And it's very easy for the kids' soccer practice or date night with your partner or taking your mom to her doctor's visits. All of those things will get crowded out by the urgency of I'm trying to chase transactions in my industry. And so it's very important, guys, that you make time and space first and foremost for the people that you care about, and also that you take time for yourself. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first, because you will see people just spectacularly flame out. And I see it over and over and over again. I've been in this industry for more than 20 years. The brokerage level, you see people who come in and they come in hot. They're selling, 10, 15 homes in their first year. They are just absolutely killing it. They are working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And at the end of it, they are emotionally, physically burned out, and their personal life is in absolute tatters. You don't want to be the wealthiest divorced person that you know, guys, or have children that don't talk to you. This is an industry where that happens all of the time. Prioritize your mental health, guys, and your relationships. Very, very important. This is going to be the social media people out here, or anybody who absorbed or consumes social media. Understand, guys, that there is a difference between an agent who presents themselves as successful on social media and an agent who is actually successful. This is huge, guys, because we live in the land of, let's call it for what it is, bullshit on social media, guys. If we have this wonderful program here in my team, Emily Salter, who runs my sales team, it's called IMS, and I can look up the actual stats of every single agent to see every single person, whether it's Carlos or Manuel or Gabriella or whoever. You sell real estate, I can see exactly how much you're selling. And guys, if you pulled up the stats for some of the people, I had to laugh. Everyone's watched this Amazon show, this Amazon Prime show about like $1 million listing Toronto. What's it called? Lux Toronto or something. These agents are not top producing agents. But when you look at them on social media or you're watching their television show, it certainly appears that way. Now, I want to be clear. There are some agents that have big media profiles that are also matched by big production. I would say Sam McDaddy is a great example of that. But the vast majority of people who are showing up on social media and presenting themselves as top producers are actually not. And I want you guys to be careful, because all that glitters in our industry is not gold. So be really careful with whose advice you're taking and who you are shadowing or following, because there is a lot of nonsense that goes on, behind the scenes. We were joking when I got asked by Mike Clark to host the seminar. They were like, what should we tell new agents? And I said to him, lease an expensive car that you can't really afford and then post pictures of yourself getting out of it in front of listings that aren't yours. That's what most new agents are doing. So guys, just be aware, be careful of what you're consuming on social media. Most of it, I can tell you 1000% with complete honesty and accuracy, is complete nonsense. Complete nonsense, guys. Just be aware of it. And that goes not for real estate, but for lots of different things too. We all have a friend who posts a picture of their amazing vacation, and you're like, oh, it's amazing. They went to Turks and Caicos. It was so great. And then you happen to know that they came back on the brink of divorce, and their kids all had the flu that week, and they're not speaking to their spouse. What goes out on social media is not necessarily a reflection of what's actually out there. So be mindful of that, guys. I want to encourage you also, switching back to selling, to be relational, not transactional. And that is a really important consideration, because a transactional agent will be somebody who says, here's somebody who has an immediate need for buying or selling. I'm going to just chase this down a rabbit hole, and I'm going to do everything I can to push them to get them to buy or sell as quickly as possible. That's a great way to cash one commission check. It is also a great way to burn the opportunity to create an advocate that may end up to 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 commission checks. You want to be able to serve your clients in a way that gives them the information that they need to make the decision that is right for them in the time that it's right for them. If you push somebody into a transaction, yes, you will cash a commission check. It's likely the only commission check that you'll ever get from them. And by the way, bad publicity goes twice around the world before good publicity ever even gets its shoes on. So we've all heard that adage before. Really important, guys. We don't want to act transactionally. We want to act relationally, because when you show up in service to your clients and they remember, there's that great Maya Angelou quote, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you made them feel. When you show up in service to your clients, it is absolutely key that you approach it with a relational mindset. You're trying to be their real estate agent for life, for all of their transactions that they are going to have, that all of their friends and family are going to have, not just, I'm going to push them into buying this house as quickly as possible because I want the commission check. Very, very importantly. Do we have a question? I saw a hand go up.
No, sorry. It was just a little anecdote, because I actually worked for I work for a catering company, and we did the food for the well. They had this brokerage that hired us, and they had this fancy food, and they were selling these condos in Dominican. And 1 week later, I went to watch that show, selling Toronto Sunset or whatever it is, and it was that agency, and they were going to bridal path, showing like $14 million homes. The woman that was the main point of contact for us, she was like, yes. When he comes into the show, he's like, oh, you're doing so great. You have 8 transactions this month. And I was sitting there like, oh my God, these guys are like multimillionaires, et cetera, et cetera. And then somehow my friend showed me how you can look at transactions, and she did not have 8 transactions, etc. So I was like, okay, good to know, that it's just about me and my own path, and how much better I am every single day than the day before, and not letting other people, distract me and comparing myself. But it's just funny you mentioned that, so it reminded me of that memory I have.
I love it. That's great. Hallelujah. That's exactly it. You're walking your own path, and don't compare yourself to anybody else, especially on social media. It's all nonsense. I want to encourage you guys to really create customers that are going to come back to you and also refer you by creating a customer service experience that is truly exceptional. So when I sit in a listing presentation and I can see that the people who bought the house 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever, and they bought it with somebody else, one of the questions that I will ask is like, hey, how was your experience with your last real estate agent? And sometimes they'll be like, oh, it wasn't good or whatever. But almost always they will say, yeah, I did a great job. We were happy with the house. it was hard. We were in multiples, but we were successful. They did a great job, I thought. And I'm like, great. Why didn't you call them? And they were like, why would I? I never heard from them again. You have to understand, guys, in our industry, follow-up or lack of follow-up is absolutely fatal. Don't assume you'll face something in your real estate career where you feel like you've done a really great job, and maybe some of you have already had this. You feel like you've done a really great job, and then 2 years later you'll drive by the house and somebody else's for sale sign is on it. It is not that you didn't do a great job, is that your customer service and your follow-up was not exceptional. And so this is really important, guys. The loyalty ends when the transaction is over. It is your responsibility to continue on with that loyalty. It's very, very important. The transaction should be the starting point of your relationship, not the termination point. And this is very important. So lack of follow-up is absolutely fatal. And I'll leave you with a great quote that I absolutely love. And it is that advertising is the price you pay for having poor or unremarkable customer service, guys. You can go on my Google page and search my name. And we have, over 100 5-star reviews, all left by people who just rave about the customer service. I don't sell real estate, guys. I sell customer service. That's the truth. That is the business you are in. You do not sell real estate, you're selling customer service. And the people who master the customer service side of it, and that means skill, follow-up, all of those things, are the ones that are the most highly compensated in our industry. I want to also tell you guys, as I move on to my next point, the biggest fear that you have about your business right now, so whatever it is, making a mistake, getting sued, having someone slam a door in your face, making a mistake on a listing that, costs your clients thousands of dollars. The reality is all of those things are going to come true one day. And the fear of them can't stop you from doing it. So it's really important, guys. I've been in real estate 21 years. I have made very few mistakes in my career, but I have made them. And when they happen, I own up to them. I learn, I fail forward, but they will happen. I have had times when I've door knocked somebody's house and they've slammed the door in my face, or they've said something about me online that is absolutely untrue. All of the things that you are absolutely terrified of are going to happen sooner or later. It's about how you respond to them, not about whether or not they happen or not. So for many people, they'll, you go door knocking and someone's like, get off my porch. There's a sign that says, don't ever knock on my door. And that's it. They will walk away. They will get in their car and they will never knock another door again. And they have robbed you of your opportunity to be successful in this business. They've taken away something so much, so much greater than often even what they realized they did. They've participated in crushing your dream. It is not how many times you get knocked down. It's whether or not you keep getting back up, guys. Really, really important. All of those terrible things are going to happen to you eventually. You got to roll with the punches. You got to pick yourself back up. You got to keep going. Super important, guys. So all those things are going to happen. Most importantly, guys, if I asked each of you what it is you do for a living, many of you would say, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a real estate agent. You are not a real estate agent. You own a real estate business, and there is a difference. An agent is somebody, I would liken them to like a pre-construction sales center where a buyer walks in, you sign the contract, off they go, you never speak to them again. That is not what you guys do. You are running a real estate business, no different than any other kind of business. And it is really important that you understand the difference, because one is an opportunity to create something that is a business that is of value, that has repeatable, projectable results. And the other is just how many transactions you have to churn through every single year to pay your mortgage. It is really important, guys, that you understand this is a business. It's very hard to do it together with something else. So for those of you that have, part-time jobs or side jobs, or you're a full-time parent and this is just a side hustle, understand you are probably going to get eaten alive by the people in this industry who aggressively pursue it every single day, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week. It's really hard to do both successfully, but understand that this is a job. It's also very important that you guys know that there is a difference between working in your business and working on your business. Can anybody want to hazard a guess about what the difference is between the two? Give me an example of what working in your business versus on your business is, maybe with some examples. Oh, Gabriella's got her hand up again. Please go ahead, Gabriella.
Working in your business is like actually doing a transaction, taking buyer out or seller out. Working on your business is doing your lead gen and doing your letters and your notes and following up.
That's right. So working in your business, the actual function of trading in real estate. Working on your business, skills training, lead generation. Hopefully everybody on this call has read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Do you know how much lead generation we're supposed to be doing every single day before you ever even pick up the phone to call about an offer or whatever? 3 hours a day, 15 hours a week of just straight lead generation if you hope to be successful. Work in your business, but you should be spending most of your time working on your business because it makes the working in a whole lot easier. This one I'm going to share, and this is the dirty little secret of the industry, guys. Years ago, I'll tell you, kind of how I started. I started as a real estate receptionist in the year 2001, and one of my jobs was sitting at the front desk of the brokerage, and I would field calls. And many of the calls that I would field, remarkably, were from collection agencies who were pursuing seemingly top-producing agents for unpaid bills on their cars, on other things, whatever. We could have a whole seminar about how people tend to overspend their commission checks. But the most important thing to remember, guys, is that in this industry, as with any self-employed person, taxes come first. This is really important, guys. If you sell a house and you've got a $25,000 commission check, about 50% of that commission check was never your money to start with. It belonged to Revenue Canada, either through HST or your regular Canadian income tax. This is where agents get into heavy issues really easily, really quickly out of the gate. You get your check, it comes to you usually undivided. It's your responsibility to separate it out. And we see agents get into catastrophic issues with Revenue Canada. HST, guys, now income tax, sometimes if you get into heavy income tax arrears, they'll work with you to try and figure out a payment plan. HST, they will seize your bank account, guys. They will just understand Revenue Canada has more ability to control your life than the mob does, just to give you perspective. HST, they can come and seize your accounts. They can cease you from trading in real estate and being able to generate more income, because the HST that you collected was never your money to keep in the first place. So guys, at the brokerage, the accounting department has a free voluntary tax withholding service. They will take your taxes right off the top, put it into an account, hold on to it for you, and either quarterly or annually, they will release that money to you so that you can go and pay your taxes, guys. You have to pay your taxes first. Super important. You would not believe how many agents in this industry have huge issues with Revenue Canada, because we get all of the money and then have a tendency to spend it all. The next one I'm going to say, very, very important, guys. In real estate, the only asset that we own as real estate business owners is ownership of your database. It is not your skills. It is not your time. It is not your knowledge. It is the ownership of your database. How many people on this call have a database? And when I mean database, I mean you've got either an Excel spreadsheet or a CRM or something where you've got names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, notes on the client, last time you've contacted them. Thank goodness, lots of hands up. If you are in real estate and you don't have a database, you have a hobby, not a business, guys. Harsh words of reality. The ownership of that database is also very, very important. Why? Because the database is the only thing that has value in the long term. What do I mean by that? Enterprise value. When a company, when you own a company and you're going to sell your company at the end of the time that you're running that company, whether it's a bakery or a aviation company or a real estate business, whatever it is, the buyer of that company is going to look to see what projections you have on revenue based on past years, and also based on past tracking of the inputs that allowed you to generate that income. So in real estate, the only thing at the end of your career that you have that has value is your database, as long as you have done a good job of tracking and understanding where your business is coming from. There are books of business right now that if they were willing to sell to me, I would pay $1 million for that book of business, because I know what the value of that business could be if it continues to be properly nurtured and somebody stays in community with that. You need to maintain your database. You need to nurture it. You need to be very protective of it. Very, very important. For those of you that are considering joining teams as you move forward, I will tell you this, and I say this to anybody that will listen. The first question you should be asking is never about leads. It is about, do I own my database? It is the only question that should be coming out of your lips. The most important question, do I own my database? Because when you leave a team, whether it's 2 years from now or 5 years from now or 25 years from now, you need to know that you own that book of relationships that you have built over your career. Very, very important. Any team that tells you you do not have ownership of your database, guys, I would question whether or not it's a great environment for you to be in. Ownership of database, the most important thing. People, I'm shocked at how often I say this to brand new agents sitting across from me looking to join a team. And they're like, well, what leads do you have for me? And I'm like, put aside the leads. You're not asking the right questions. Are you going to own your database? You don't want to spend the next 5 years of your life working towards building a business, a successful business, and then never be able to leave that team because you don't own your database. It's the most important thing, guys. It's the first question you should be asking. Own your database, nurture your database, take care of your database, and your database will take care of you. Just so that you guys know, if you're successfully in community with your database and you're doing a good job of explaining to them how your business works and showing up in service to them, your database should return 10% of its size in number of transactions every single year. If you have 250 people in your database, you should have 25 transactions out of that if your database is being properly nurtured. So very, very important, guys. I'm also going to say this, and this will run afoul of many people who are big social media people. Nobody cares about your brand. Nobody cares about my brand. Nobody cares about Gabriella's brand. Nobody cares about Manuela's brand. It is the relationship that you build with them that matters. They don't remember whether you're with Remax or Keller Williams or Royal LePage. That matters this much. What matters is, are you competent at what you're doing? Do you care about me, and can I trust you? And do I have top of mind name awareness with you personally? When the lead generation, process that I follow is working by referral. And what that means in terms of conversion is that my business comes into me. So I open my email in the morning and somebody will have sent an email introduction to their cousin who is interested in buying real estate. And they're going to say, hey, I'm copying Carol on this email. She did a fabulous job for me 2 years ago. She stayed in touch with me. We were at our client appreciation event a few weeks ago. Sarah is my cousin. She's interested in, figuring out if she's going to get into the real estate market and wants to talk to somebody. And I wanted to connect you guys because I know you're going to take really, really good care of her. It doesn't, nowhere in there does it say, oh, look, Carol Foderick, one of the biggest agents in the entire country. Nowhere in it does it say you're going to love her branding colors. Nobody's going to say she makes the best content on Instagram, which isn't true. But nobody cares. The referrals will come in based on the relationship, not the brand that you're building. It goes back to my other comment about social media and all that glitters is not gold. There are social media accounts that do a phenomenal job of branding and make themselves look like they are really, really successful and impressive and high level of service. And then you look at the numbers that they're actually doing and it's not actually translating into anything else. So it is just really important, guys, that it is the relationship that matters, not the brand. It doesn't mean that you don't need to be mindful of your online presence, but I see so many new agents especially think that they need to be creating content and getting the colors right, and they need to have templates, and they need to be posting 6 times a day, and they need to be boosting. It is not that, guys. Speak to your sphere, figure out your lead generation model, lean into that. It is far more valuable than whatever brand you're going to. I have clients that I have worked with for 20 years and they don't remember that I'm not with Royal LePage anymore. They don't know that I'm with Keller Williams. They didn't even know who Keller Williams is or what Keller Williams is. The brand and the brokerage matters to us in terms of the supports that we get. It doesn't matter to the clients. That's the reality of the situation. What matters is your relationship with them. We've talked already about the fact that lack of follow-up is fatal, but I just really want to touch on this again because it's important. Follow-up means you get a lead in. First and foremost, you thank the person who sent you the lead. So I just described a situation where there is a referral in, you thank that person regardless of the outcome. Oh, it turns out the cousin has really bad credit and she's not buying anything anyways. It doesn't matter. I'm rewarding the activity, not the outcome. Follow-up is key there. Follow-up is key because some people will set open houses as a lead generation tool. That's great. The chances that somebody comes through and buys the house that you're open housing, almost zero. Most sales don't happen until you get to the 10th to 15th ask or point of contact with that person. So if you're not putting them into a CRM or a database and following up constantly, you are simply not going to be successful. The idea that business will just fall out of the sky and you're going to run into somebody on the street, you're going to door knock and they'll be like, yes, thank goodness you came by. I was actually thinking about selling my house today. That is not the way that it works, guys. The follow-up is absolutely key. We follow up with our databases here at the Carol Foderick Real Estate Group somewhere around, we target to be somewhere between 60 and 70 times a year with our databases, even people that are not involved in active transactions as a means to stay top of mind with those people. So very, very important, guys. Lack of follow-up, absolutely fatal. I want to suggest to you guys, and this just goes back to, explaining to people how our business works, because like real estate agents, there is no clear understanding necessarily of how we're compensated. So you may have a close friend who knows that you work in real estate and they choose to go out and buy a house with somebody else. And you may say, well, why did they call me? They knew I was in real estate. People don't necessarily understand that we are small businesses, that we are self-employed, and that our responsibility to bring in our own business falls directly and completely on our own shoulders. So you need to be able to explain to clients what it is that you hope to, accomplish by building a relationship with them. So for me, it sounds like, I'm calling a past client they bought 3 years ago, and I'm calling and it's, his name is Scott. I'm like, hey, Scott, it's Carol Foderick. How are you? Haven't spoken to you. Now, I wouldn't say 3 years because I speak to them all pretty regularly, but like just calling to check in. How are things going now that the kids out of school? Everything is good. Yeah, like chit chat, small talk. And listen, Scott, I just want to remind you, like, if there's ever anything I can do to be of service to anybody that you know, or you have any questions about real estate, just reach out. I'm always here to help. That is an explanation and a question without a question mark. about who they know that I can service. And it is a reminder that we are here trying to build a business that is service-based. So if you have, like, there are clients out there that legitimately think that I go to work every day and Keller Williams, like, somehow there's like a list of people that want to sell their home that Carlos emails over to me every single day. Not the case, guys. You have to be willing to build your own business. And usually it comes from a place of educating our customers about how we're compensated and how we go about finding, new clients. It's no different than when you go to a, great restaurant and you comment on how great the restaurant is to, like, the server, and they're like, well, great, please come back again and tell a friend. It's exactly the same sort of thing, guys. We've got to get good about, creating advocates. I also going to wrap this up with a couple of other points that really speak to what I think creates the most burnout. So, we've talked a lot about this idea that 75% of the agents won't survive the first year, which is true, but it actually gets a little bit farther, more dramatic than that, because 3 of the 5 agents that survive the first year don't make it to year 3. So the attrition rate is really, really, really high. The dropout rate is really high, guys. It's a combination of a lot of things we've already talked about: market conditions, lack of understanding about where your business comes, lack of ability to explain to people, how you get compensated, sometimes lack of skill, not giving it a professional, minimum 40 hours a week, not approaching it like a job. There's a lot of factors that go into that, guys. But I will tell you, one of the biggest ones is mindset burnout, where people, like, you will become your own worst enemy. You're going to start telling yourself stories in your head about why you're not successful. Well, I'm not successful because clearly I'm just not a salesperson. Well, are you not a salesperson? There's just nobody ever taught you how to sell, because that wasn't covered in the AREA course. So unless you've taken skills training to build on that after the fact, you're probably not a natural born salesperson. I have 2 kids and none of them came out with a manual to explain how to sell a house. It's a learned skill that is not taught as part of AREA, guys. The mindset is the biggest part of this. And you need to be constantly refilling your cup with positive mindset stuff, positive training, and information that's going to be useful to you as a business person. I also want to tell you guys that I'll take a step back. There's a saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Don't go it alone, guys. You need to find your tribe. You need to find synergy with other people. I run a team with 17 sales agents. They are in the office almost all of the time working on their businesses, not because they don't have a place to work at home, not because it's convenient for them to come in and sit at our office here on Kingston Road. It's because when they are in a group setting, everybody does better and learns more. You are constantly absorbing the information that is being shared around you. Gabrielle is sitting at her desk and she's working on, something in her business, and she's overhearing a conversation of a really hard offer negotiation going on with another agent, and she is absorbing that information. Manuela has a really tough day and she gets fired by a client, which, to be clear, will happen to everybody at some point in their career. And Manuela comes in, and instead of just like going home and, turning on Netflix and opening a bottle of wine, instead, Manuela comes into the office and somebody asks her, hey, how's it going? That's been a really rough day. Let me pour you a cup of coffee and we can talk about it. Synergy matters, both in terms of the education that happens when we're together in community with other like-minded real estate professionals, but it also matters to our mindset and our longevity, guys. It is a really lonely, hard industry that we're in. And most of the solo agents that choose to just go it alone don't make it, not because they don't have the skills or knowledge, but because they don't have the emotional fortitude that comes from having great energy. There is no coincidence about the fact that when you go to some of our KW trainings and you look around the room and there are top producing agents, it is because they're not there because they need the training. They're there because they need to absorb the energy in the room. And that's really important, guys, so that you remember that always, that it's, this is not an industry where you can often, go it alone. And so I just want to say, guys, and I know I'm going to open it up to questions, and then you guys can ask me anything that you want about any of it, but I'll just share with you because it was a long time ago that I got my real estate license. And years ago, you had to go to the Rexall Center, which is up at York University. And it was weird because it was the Tennis Canada campus as well, too. So you'd sit in like rooms and learn about real estate. There's probably a handful of people that also had this experience on this call as well. But you'd go into these like weird like training rooms, and it was all in person, and it was taught by like instructors who had been in the industry for like even 30 years before that. So I had people, you know, teaching me about real estate that had gone through, you know, the 1981 correction and the 1991, you know, recession. And it was an incredibly immersive experience because you got to ask a lot of questions. And I'll never forget, because the agent that taught me my last phase back in whatever it was, 2001, I asked him, I was like, if you could give one piece of advice to a new agent, you know, what would it be? And he said this to me, and I share this with every single new agent because it will be true for you if it hasn't been already. He said it wasn't about how to trade in real estate, how to be successful, how to lead generate. He said, guys, at some point in your career, a friend, a family member, somebody that you really know and trust is going to choose to work with somebody else, and you need to not take it personally. And so that is the last piece of advice that I would share with you today, guys, is like it, just like The Godfather, it's not personal, it's just business. And that's true, guys. You can't let it get you down. People that you know and love, who know and love you, are not going to work with you. Sometimes for very good reasons, sometimes for no good reasons at all. But you can't let it get you discouraged. It's the biggest thing that I will say. I agree with, you know, him all of these years later. It has been the hardest thing for me personally to deal with when close friends choose to work with another professional for whatever reason. But it's the one thing I see absolutely derail agents. They start to second guess themselves and their own, you know, their own ability to serve the needs of everybody else. Not everybody is going to be for you, and that's okay. That's okay, guys. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't know. I tried not to be like the grandma raging my fists at the sky, like get off my lawn. But I really wanted to share with you guys like all of the things that I wish somebody had sat down and told me when I was starting real estate 21 years ago. And hopefully you took at least some nuggets about, you know, from this. I'd love to hear feedback, questions, thoughts. Like this is a safe space, guys. This is collaborative. If you heard something that like moved you today, if there was an aha in here, I'd love to hear your feedback. And I'd love to answer your questions. So what can I do to be of service to all of you guys? Layla's got her hand up. Or you're saying like, hallelujah, Carol. I don't know, whichever.
I actually started talking, forgetting about that. Thank you very much, Carol. This was a great session, as always. Not only the value and the quality, but also the way that you speak to, at least I felt, to my heart. Thank you very much. It was a great session. I had an aha moment when you said you need to focus on one thing and you need to do that thing very well. I think that's really important. That should be my take from today. That's all I wanted to share for now. Thank you very much.
Right. And Layla, I've watched you the last 6 months. Like you're really pounding the pavement. You're out there. I commend you because you're really working hard. So I hope that this is the year that you find success in your business, because I know you've been really working at it for a long time. So, or not a long time, you're working really hard for, you know, a short period of time. But I hope that there are seeds that pop up. And when I say seeds, guys, the law of the harvest, which is a biblical principle, but it's one that I always respond to as well. The idea that if you reap what you sow. And so if you are sowing nothing in the way of lead generation, don't expect there to be anything, to harvest. But the season that you sow your seeds in is not the same season that you harvest your seeds in. It takes, we are in a 30, 60, 90 day lead gen business. So it will take anywhere, if you had a new lead that came in now, it would take you anywhere between 30 and 120 days to be able to get them into a call, into an active buyer or seller territory. And then from there, it might take another 30 or 60 days before there's a transaction. And then it could take another 30, 60, 90 days on top of that in order to actually cash a commission check. So the reality is, for most of you, your lead generation efforts that are happening right now in June, most of these will be January, February commission checks if it's a cold dead start in your lead generation model. People are often shocked when I remind them that we really have, as we are now at the end of June, we really only have 3.5 maybe 4 months left in this year, because everything after that is a 2025 transaction. So wherever you are at with your goals, it's closer to midnight than we think, guys. It's a great reminder for me also as well. But thank you, Layla. Anybody else have?
You're very welcome. Carol, one last thing I just want to say. There are tough times, honestly, when we door knock, cold call, when we come across some situations. It's always inspiring to remember great agents like yourself. And there is hope and light. I am hoping that one day we will all get what we deserve. And I'm looking forward to more of your success too, Carol.
I'm looking forward to celebrating your success, Layla, next year at the awards. And honestly, guys, there is nobody among, when you look at the Canada Top 20, there is nobody that was born with a database. There was nobody that was born with the foundational knowledge of how to sell real estate. There's nobody that had a real estate business handed to them. This is an entrepreneurial space, and we all start with the exact same number of clients, which is 0. We all start with the exact same amount of knowledge of how to be successful, which is nothing, and we just build from there. And the best people among us make mistakes. We just don't make the same mistake twice, and we use every mistake as an opportunity to fail forward. So yeah. Anybody else? I don't know a lot of the people on these calls. I'd love to hear what your real estate journey is like so far. Can I call out some people? I want to hear about Tanya Martin's story. What brings you here? Because you've listened intently, and I think you're taking notes, Tanya. So I'd love to hear what you're all about.
Well, you hit a lot of some of the points. I've been to some, I guess you would say, coaching sessions. So finding a pillar and focusing on that was one of the highlights. Something I'm still working on as well myself. And being surrounded by people. Like, I've been on a team, and that's where I felt more motivated. I'm actually just recently stepping out to do my own, and I'm finding that I'm getting into this rut of nowhere to turn and have that energy. So I'm actually considering a team again. So
come join us. Since my motivational speeches 3 times a week. Manual.
Yeah.
Tell you how we're writing that.
So I've been in the business, I would say, 4 years-ish, and pretty much what you're saying as a new agent, I wish I heard that earlier, but what you're saying does make sense for new agents. You did hit home with those things, so this is definitely a great session for those who are not joining the business.
Emily, I'd love to hear your real estate story. What's your path so far? Where are you headed? I'm calling people out. People are like, get off the call before she calls me out. If there's anybody that has questions for me, I'm happy to answer them as well too. Questions, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Kamal raised his hand before.
Oh, Kamal, please. Yeah, do you have a question? I'm happy to answer.
Not a question. I was going to point out something that I found particularly useful. First, thank you. Wanted to echo the thanks. I really appreciate the direct style. It really speaks to me. But the whole working.
Watch out with the feelsy people when you're showing them houses, and they're like, I'm just not feeling it. And you're like, what does that mean? That's not a real feeling. So be mindful of that while you're
currently working with an old friend who's a client who is highly emotional, and it is not my style, so that's taking some adapting. But the working in versus on, I think, is a really good reminder, because I think I know it, but it becomes so easy to just get distracted by the minutia of day to day and the things that, as you said, in the long term don't matter as much as working on your business. I found that particularly useful to say, hey, don't forget this. This is really, really important every day.
I love it. That's great. Yeah.
Anybody else? If I can jump in.
Okay.
So I'm a newer agent. This is actually my 2nd year, and just so working on your business, I am in the process of, I have built from 100 people in my database to now 204, just from knowing people to knowing people to knowing people. And literally what my working in my business this past week has been, I am writing note cards to every single one of those people in my database saying, hey, how are you? How are things going? And just sending a note saying, hey, just to remind you, I am in the real estate business. I'm here to be in service to you. If you know of anyone, either you or anyone keep me in top of mind. And that's my job for the next 3 days, writing all these note cards. I'm getting writer's cramp, but I'm doing it because I know there's going to be a reward at the end of it.
So the power of the personal note, very important, guys. We talk about like open rates in emails or like impressions on a social media post. If you mail a handwritten personal note to somebody's house, the chance that they look at it and throw it in the garbage before opening it or reading it is absolutely zero. That is going to have a 100% open rate. And if you just put in a note like, hey, are you interested in buying or selling real estate? Probably it's going to land like a lead balloon. But if you massage that message, just be like, hey, I just wanted to thank you for your past support of my business. I know you're always keeping me top of mind for anybody that is thinking, anyone that you come across is thinking or about, doing anything real estate related. It's such an honor for the opportunity to be of service to you. And I'm always here to help. Please reach out anytime. That sounds very different. And that's in a like, oh yeah, it has a very different emotional reaction. So the power of the personal note. Now there is a lack of two-way communication that comes in from that. So I know that Gabrielle will then get on, it's part of we're hosting our Wills and Estate seminar. She'll be on the phone, inviting all of our clients to that as well too. But it's a different layer on the emotional stack when we're trying to build community with people. So Subal had his hand up. And then Tanya.
I think you're on mute.
Oh, you're on mute, sir.
Okay. Carol, thank you again for teaching us a lot of stuff today. It's a direct approach. Last 2 years before I went to your office in the Kingston Road, and you suggested me to take the Ignite. So really, I went there and I met a lot of new people and all of your groups, and really appreciate that. I learned a lot of stuff from you and your groups, and Keller Williams Advantage there. I may really appreciate that. And I am admire of all the time of yours, direct approach. And you are so, the point of view is really clear about that, as like a motivated speaker. You always teach us, the good things. So today I learned a lot of direct approach on that field. I'm new in the business, like 2-3 years, but I have a full-time job and I could not, spend more time in the business. That's why I'm not that much success. But, I have a full-time job and the kids and everything. So still I'm trying and I'm following up your, the real, what you mean to, as a new agent, I try to approach and there. And today I learned, a lot of things about, say, statistics and pragmatic people, because I had one client, a couple of months I working behind him, and he's working in the TD Bank, and he's a very mathematical guy. And he's asking about to, buying a house about, he say always to me, I want day one, I want a positive cash flow. But his budget is 700,000. So 700,000 is very hard to get the cash flow. But I asking about his criteria. He asking detached house and must be 2 floor. I did not find out. And he always asking about the solid brick and this kind of house. But recently he bought a house through another agent. And I was thinking, what is my mistake and what I not understand this guy? Because, I feel about bad myself. And then I realize I go with this guy several months and I tell him, semi-detached house, but he bought, the semi-detached. So I did not mention that point. And I thought, I have some lackness of myself.
Oh, and so just so you know, this is our greatest learning opportunities will often come with being, I won't say fired by a client, but having them go in a different direction. Sometimes they fire you and it's spectacularly painful. And they're like, you really screwed this up, Carol. It's rare now than it used to be, but to be clear, it happens to all of us. There is nobody in this industry that hasn't been fired painfully by a client, and anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you. That's the truth. But what I think it does give us the opportunity to, so you said a couple of things there. He said, and again, I won't go too far down the rabbit hole with this particular client, but the learning lesson that you might want to take from this is that he was clearly a very numbers-based person, and
Yes.
he used the words sort of like feel and, a little bit more in your explanation, which tells me that you're perhaps a little bit more set. Which, to be clear, guys, there's no right and wrong. It's just the way that we're wired, right?
Mhm.
So what I might have suggested is that doing a deeper dive into the different types of real estate profit that can be realized. Cash flow is one potential for, from an upside benefit of investment piece of property, but the other ones might be, and to be clear, it is very hard to get cash flow in Toronto. It's not something that generally investors pursue here because our price points are very, very high. And now that interest rates are on the relatively high side as well too, it makes cash flow almost impossible. Usually when I have a client that's pursuing a cash flow option, I'll say to them, remember that we're looking, as an investment, there is other opportunities to make income. Cash flow, not necessarily possible in Toronto, but if you wanted to go outside of Toronto, then lots of opportunities for cash flow. Cash flow exists in places where prices are relatively low and rents are relatively high. So university towns have great opportunities for cash flow. And outside of the GTA, there are tremendous, tremendous potentials for that. It's also perhaps understanding, so if you're not buying for cash flow in Toronto, what are you buying for? It's capital appreciation and mortgage pay down. So in fact, you may be cash flow negative on an investment property, and you may be topping it up $300, $400, $500 a month after expenses and mortgage payment, but the bigger win is the 5 to 10% appreciation that we generally enjoy in Toronto over the long term. So sure, you're not cash flowing $200 or $300 a month as you would be in another investment opportunity outside of the GTA, but your $700,000 house in a good year next year turns into a $770,000 house, and then 10% more on that and 10% more on that. Plus the tenants are making are making payments against the capital value of your mortgage, or the principal interest on the principal balance on your mortgage. So it's about helping people understand that there's different ways to be successful and profitable. It would also be a true statement if he is very sent on cash flow in Toronto and he wasn't particularly picky about what that looks like. There are properties cash flow right now that are being used as rooming houses, and that's likely how he's going to squeeze cash flow out of a purchase in Toronto. It won't be single family residential. It'll be chopping it up into a whole bunch of rooms and doing it, which, to be clear, is not lawful, but it's not stopping people from doing it and making a lot of money on it. So the client's going to do what they want to do with the house. It's your job to just present all options to them. But it's a great learning opportunity because you probably learned something in this about today. Okay, if cash flow is not possible, we can either go somewhere where it is, or you can realize a different kind of profit on it, which is long-term capital appreciation. And we have a great investor spreadsheet that we use for our team agents to be able to outline the both. Yeah, it's cash flow negative monthly, but a 5-year profitability projection means you're going to be making $200,000 or $300,000 on this, because the tenants are paying your mortgage. So, Subal, what I'll do is I'll share that spreadsheet with you just so that you can use it, and then hopefully it's a learning opportunity for you guys, for you to, move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tanya, did you have a question?
I was just going to mention, based off of Gabriella's notes that she was making, what is your thoughts on all the AI technology with trying to do these things? Like, I feel it's more personable to do it yourself, but I guess with time management and this introduction to AI, what are your thoughts?
What are you using AI for? What would be the application?
Well, the messages, texting, the mailing,
So I will tell you, there are ways to leverage, because leverage is the biggest thing. When I get a mid-level producing agent, we have people that join our team. I have 17 agents on the team. Some of them are brand new. Many of them come to us not because, like, Tanya, you know how to write an offer. You know how to, present an offer. You know how to functionally trade in real estate. You don't need training on that. What you probably need is leverage in your business. So the ability to write an offer, and then hand it off to a team of administrators who are going to do that huge amount of follow-up that goes into a transaction, so that then you can hit the ground running with your next, buyer seller client, knowing that somebody on your behalf is reaching out and doing an even better job than you would on the back end of the transaction to bring it to closing. So I would say leverage is an absolute important part of anybody's business in order to scale. The average real estate agent, guys, just so you know, when I say if you want to go far, you have to go with together. What that means is you have to utilize leverage in your business. I believe very much in the power of human leverage, because AI won't replace us when you're sitting there and you're holding a client's hand because their mother just died and you're walking them through the process of probate and selling their family home. But the ability to leverage is absolutely key if you hope to scale your business, because most agents have a transactional capacity of somewhere around 25 transactions, whether they're sale or leases, where either they can't grow anymore because there's just no more hours in the day to perform the functions of working in your business versus working on, or they just get too burned out and too churned up that there is just no functional way. So then if you take everything else that is not a dollar producing activity off your plate, and dollar producing activity is writing and negotiating contracts, and it is lead generation one-on-one with your sphere of influence. You take everything else off of your plate and give it to a very skilled administrator who will work on your behalf to make sure it's done, frankly, better than you would have done it anyways. That's where the leverage comes in. So I wouldn't try automation. It still needs to have a human component to it. People do, there is opportunity to include, I'll give you an example. Like, we're exploring AI options on my team on things that it's not evident that it needs to be me. So I'll give you an example. We're looking at listing walkthroughs. So the talking head that talks along to the listing video, I've long since, because I have 43 listings on the market right now. There's no way I can go to 43 listings and film videos. But AI may allow me the opportunity to do that. But the one-on-one client, it can't be replaced by AI. It's the human experience. My entire business is built on calls, notes, and pop-bys, which requires me to actually show up. But there is an opportunity to incorporate leverage, Tanya. If you're finding that there's just not enough hours in the day, it's likely going to come from administrative leverage. And I'll explain sort of just on a high level for anyone that's curious, because we've talked a little bit about teams and difference. I don't run a team. I run a real estate group, which is different. A real estate group is a collection of agents all coming together to work their own businesses under the umbrella of the services that we provide as a real estate group. So collectively, we have the ability to have 15 full-time staff among 17 agents, so almost a one-to-one administrator ratio. But we do it because we are all pooling our resources together to be able to have a full-time listings manager, a full-time closing concierge, a full-time lease closing concierge, a full-time in-house accounting department, a full, at-cost staging services for our agents. We pool our resources, and that is the difference between a team and a group. So I'd say, Tanya, if you're struggling with leverage, you need to find somebody that you can partner with who is going to allow you to run your own business autonomously, retain ownership of your business, but benefit from the shared leverage that comes from having administrative support that keeps you selling. Because you're going to face different challenges. You're not trying to get your business off the ground. You're trying to get your business scaled, right? Like, you're trying to go from like 15 to 50, and that is really challenging to do without a couple of full-time staff.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. But AI, no, it's the personal notes you got to get up there. There are some, like, we use the Reach app to mass text the entire database, but you have to do it sparingly, and it still has to look personal. But yeah, I don't think AI will replace who we are. Other questions, guys? No other questions. I love it. My goodness. Okay. Well, hopefully, guys, I've shown up in service to you and I've provided a little bit of value. If you have something that you were not comfortable chatting about online, you feel free to reach out to me personally. Super easy, Carol@carolfoderick.com. Or you can page me through the brokerage and I'll call you right back. Subal actually just wandered into my office a couple of years ago. I remember you, sir, when you came in and looked for a little direction. So good for you for putting the oxygen mask on your business first and getting the help that you need. It's great to see people that are learning and successful. I am hiring. I always like to put my call out there. If anybody is interested in coming to join a real estate group where we focus on a lot of growth, both personal and business wise, I'd love to have a conversation with you about that and explain sort of what our offering is all about. You get to listen to me talk a whole bunch. So it's the passion that I have. I'm not, I don't actively trade in real estate the same way. I manage my real estate team and have an incredible amount of joy and passion for doing that. But if there is something you want to talk about privately offline, I'm happy to have one-on-ones with anybody, or you just need an opinion or a shoulder to cry on or something, guys. Like, we're all in it together. And I want to congratulate all of you for being here today, because the truth is that the people that cared enough to take an hour and a half out of their day to show up for their business and to take away something that's going to be of value going forward, these are the people that are winning. It's, when we talk about that 75-25, chances are good that just by virtue of being here and putting yourself first and putting the oxygen mask on your business means that you're going to be one of the 25% that do survive. So it's an honor always to be, in community with people like you that care enough to, show up for your own business. And, we're all in this together, guys. It's a tough road out there. It's the hardest market we've had in 25 years. These are really extraordinary market conditions, but this is also a market where you can take market share, where you can grow. And fortunately, many of our competitors are leaving the business or just packing it in and calling it a day. So it's an incredible opportunity if you choose to see it as one. So I'll leave you with that, guys. If there's anything I can do to be a service, please feel free to reach out. We're always here. If you want to come in an audited meeting or just come and hang out with us and have a coffee and a cry, we do that too. So, we're here to be supported in any way. So thank you, guys.
No crying in real estate, Carol.
Oh, there's always crying in real estate, Emily. That's the truth. We cried together today. Who is it? If you're not crying in this market, you're not human. So, but tears of joy as well too. So thank you guys, everybody, for joining. And did you want to say something, Emily? Or did you just try and jump in? Emily is my director of sales. So
yeah, you're being very free with your time here, Carol. So just be cautious that I will be the gatekeeper. And happy to chat with anybody who's interested in knowing more.
I've talked enough with these people all day. So thank you guys for participating. I appreciate your time today, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Bye.
Happy to have you in the family. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you on next Tuesday.
Like the Korean thing? Another time, Carlos. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.